Bonjour et bienvenue dans cette vidéo. C'est Evan du site réussirlegmat.com. Et aujourd'hui, on va résoudre un problème de sentence correction du livre officiel de GMAT.
Okay, let's go. Iguanas have been an important food source in Latin America since prehistoric times, and it is still prized as a game animal by the campesinos who typically cook the meat in a heavily spiced stew. Okay, so there's plenty of ways to attack this one. I would say a good rule for looking at this question is that we have an underlined pronoun, and the rule is that anytime you have an underlined pronoun in the GMAT, you should immediately check it. So you want to check, does it agree with its antecedent? That is the thing that it's replacing. So here we have it. It is our pronoun. And what is it replacing? So it's replacing the word iguanas. So we're saying iguanas have been an important food source, so on and so forth, and it is. So does the word iguanas match with the word it? Well, no, because iguanas is plural. Iguanas is plural, and so because of that, we can say that A is incorrect. B makes the same mistake, so we can also say that B is incorrect. So that brings us down to D, C, D, and E. What's the next thing we're going to look at here? Well, let's scan up and down for differences between C, D, and E in order to figure out which is the best one. We want to see what the difference is and concentrate on that. So if we look up and down, we have a clear difference between C, D, and E at the start. Let's keep going through though. Here we have another difference, which is animals, animal, animal. Well, what animal are we talking about here? We're talking about iguanas, and iguanas is plural. It's plural here in this in this text. So we need to talk about it as being plural. So it needs to be animals. It's iguanas are prized, or they are still prized as game animals. And so C is the only one that does that, because in D, as a game animal, is incorrect. It needs to be animals. So that makes D wrong. E, again, it still has animal, and we're talking about iguanas plural, so it makes E wrong. So C is definitely going to be our answer. Now, there are other ways of looking at this question. So if we look at D again, let's go back to D, they are still prized as being a game animal. So if we imagine that it wasn't incorrect because of the singular animal, we could look at this as being a game animal. There's no reason here to bring in the word as being and use this kind of continuous tense. So this would be considered awkward in the GMAT, and that's another reason why D is incorrect. Let's look at E. E has an interesting mistake here actually. So what you'll notice looking down through is that E is the only one of these answer choices that doesn't use a pronoun. So it takes out the pronoun altogether. And is that allowed? Well, it's not, because actually what we have here before and is a comma. So normally when you have and, it can join two things, right? So it's X and Y. But here it's a little bit different, because it's comma and it changes things. That becomes actually a fanboys. So what does a fanboys do? A fanboys connects two independent clauses. And so that's what and is doing here. And if we want to have two independent clauses, an independent clause, it must contain, an independent clause has to contain a subject and a verb. And so if we take out our pronoun it or they, there's no longer a subject after the comma. There's no longer a subject in this second part of the sentence, all here. There's no subject here. So that is going to make it incorrect. There has to be a subject after and before and. We know there's a subject in the first part. The subject is iguanas. there is no subject in the second part if we take out a pronoun, and so that would be another reason why E is incorrect. So one last sanity check. Let's look at C, plug it back in and make sure it sounds correct. Iguanas have been an important food source in Latin America since prehistoric times, and they are still prized as game animals by the campesinos, who typically cook meat in a heavily spiced stew. Sounds good to me. The answer is going to be C.
In order to help you go further in your preparation, I've created a video course on the GMAT sentence correction section for you. This course will teach you everything that you need to know in order to be a successful test taker in this section. So first we'll start off by looking at the basics of English to get you up to speed. We'll also include parts of speech there. Then we'll get into subject-verb agreement. We'll also look at common idioms and comparisons. After that, we'll do pronouns and modifiers, and we'll also look at common misplaced modifiers so that you can answer questions on modifiers easily. Finally, we'll look at tenses, conditionals, and word choices. We'll use all we've learned there to do 70 realistic GMAT style questions of varying difficulties, and I'll show you how a successful test taker solves questions step by step. I'm sure that if you work hard on this course, you'll see a dramatic increase in your GMAT score. To get access to the videos, I invite you to click on the link below, and I'll see you in a few minutes.